I'll call this meeting to order. This is the Breezy Point Regular City Council meeting. It's June 3rd. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, welcome everybody. We have on the consent agenda, we have 3 items: the council minutes from May 6th, regular meeting, and we have the approval of claims totaling $84,704.82, which is electronic checks 2319E through 2320E, and paper checks 135171 through 135202 and 135205 through 135232. And we also have the voting representative for the Minnesota Municipal Utility Association, and that's me. So is there anybody that would like to discuss anything on the consent agenda separately? Councilman Bakken?
No, sir.
Rebecca?
No.
Gary?
No.
All those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
And,
No.
oh, did I get a second? Oh. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Now we're legal. But also we're a little bit illegal from the standpoint of we have changes to the agenda, the overall agenda. Under 7B, we're going to have another bidder that is coming in, and we'll get basically an explanation from Joe Zierden on that one. And then we have a new handout for H1 for the road improvement and assessment policy. And then we had missed the handout for the minimum maintenance road survey, so you now have that in your packet. And then we'll have a new item, item 7I, which is the bid tabulation for the Ford F-150 that was DWI forfeit. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the revised agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the revised agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Now we got the new agenda on our table. Next item, open forum. Anybody wishing to come before the council and speak to any topic whatsoever, whether it's on the agenda or not. So please come forward and speak. If anybody wants to come forward. Nobody coming forward. Open forum is closed. Next item is mayor and city council reports. A couple months ago, we had an issue with the Channel Road where we have a resident that was feeling it was eroding, and we authorized $100 to be paid for the Crowing Soil and Water Conservation District to come out and do an assessment. And they did, and we got the assessment here. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. It's about 7 or 8 pages. But the bottom line is that Soil and Water doesn't really feel that there is an erosion problem. And they recommended if we wanted to do anything to install some vegetation that was deep-rooted to hold the banks in place. And so that will be an option that we can discuss at a later date, but we do have that report right now. And secondly, we had got a very nice thank you letter from Jeff Smith, president of the airport, and thanking us for our support of the 2019 Breezy Point Airport Days, which I thought was fabulous again this year. And the big item that was so nice was to rename the field dedicated to Cliff Muller. And it was a very good day, and I will have to say they caught Cliff totally by surprise. And he was almost in tears.
Yeah.
So, and then the next item is the big news on the population. For Breezy Point, it hasn't changed. So it's 24, the official population is 2485, same as it was last year. So, council members. Mr. Bakken.
No, sir.
Rebecca? Anything?
Let me back up.
Oh,
Let me
okay.
back up. Forgive me.
You're
Stepped on
forgiven.
my own toes there. And everybody else's. Just a quick information on the tree removal on the airport here. That's, the FAA notified the airport that those trees have to come down. Nobody likes to see a tree cut down, especially me. But because of the crosswinds, if there's a east-west crosswind, when they drop, you crab, and when the plane drops below the tree line, then it's a fight to get her back. So that's why they had to come down.
Okay.
And Gary can elaborate on that if he wants. Gary, 2?
That's pretty much
That's
the
it?
case, yes.
The only other thing is they're filling some cracks on the cemetery road, and that's all I have.
Okay. Rebecca, anything?
I just have something from the committee report section. Do you want me to save that for
Okay, if it's like
Yeah.
personnel committee or
Yeah.
whatever, okay.
conference?
Yep, or comp plan, okay, that's fine. Or comp plan, that would be now.
Okay. All right. So from a comprehensive plan standpoint, we're still working on getting that new version for 2020. So we had a meeting on May 28th to continue the discussions on the different sections, reviewing the text for those. And our next meeting is scheduled for June 19th at 9 a.m. to continue those discussions and review some action items for the comprehensive plan.
Okay. Gary?
Just one thing, Dave Peterson, administrator for Ideal Township, asked me if we would think about placing a speed limit sign on Ossey Road on the other end that agrees with theirs to make it legal. So I talked to Chief Kevin. He said he's going to look into it. The speed limit that Dave mentioned may not be legal on that road. So Kevin's going to look into it, and he doesn't have a problem with it. So when we get it all figured out, we'll bring it before the council.
Okay. Next item is the administrator and staff reports. And we have the road and sanitary sewer project for the supporting the White Birch project. Tim, I'll turn this over to you at this point. We have the plans, and we have the resolution to go forward.
So, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as you indicated in front of you, we have the plans and the specifications done for the 2019 road improvement projects. If you want to go through page by page, I will certainly take you through those, but historically we have not done that. You do have a resolution in front of you adopting or approving the plans and specs and ordering the advertisement for bids. So that is the next step in this process. We will advertise in the local official newspaper as well as on a website called Quest CDN. We will answer any questions from bidders. And then we're intending to open the bids on June 28th at 10 a.m. And tentatively, the council would consider them on July 1st. The bulk of the work, the sanitary sewer work, would be slated to be completed this year with final paving completed next year. Questions?
Gary, questions?
None.
Rebecca?
None, just on the actual advertisement, it does say that we'll consider the bids at 7 p.m., so that would need to be modified.
And we, thank you for that note. We can do so either in the initial advertisement, or I suspect there will probably be an addendum with some clarifications, and we could do it at that time.
Gary? Well, I know we've all talked about these plans ad nauseum almost, and so I don't think we can really need to go into any of the further details on it. We know, everybody knows what's going on. So I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 1912 to approve the plans and specifications and ordering of bids for the improvements on White Birch Drive, Papago Circle, Suffolk Drive, and Suffolk Circle.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Gary, anything?
No.
Rebecca?
No.
Gary?
No.
All those in favor of Resolution 1912, please say aye.
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 The resolution is approved. The next item is quote from Anderson Brothers for crack sealing, and in the, since the packet went out, we do have another quote. So Joe, can you walk us through here and let us know what you're going to be needing?
Sure. Essentially, the cemetery, City Hall Trail, and the Breezy Point Parks walking trail, those were quoted to be crack sealed and poly patched from Anderson Brothers. I didn't receive a competing bid in time for those two areas, so those would be the two. They are as they show on here. The map of the roads that have the pink and yellow highlighted sections, I anticipated the cost would have been too high, that I couldn't do all of them. That's why I bid two separate ones, just so I could possibly get one done. The Anderson Brothers quote was, that case, it was nearly $24,000. The second quote, which came in late last week, came in substantially less. It came in at $16,700. So that actually makes it the yellow and pink roads doable in 1 year. And that's what I would propose, is we accept the Anderson Brothers bids for the park and cemetery work, and then we accept the bid from Lot Pros LLC for the work that's on the highlighted map.
Okay, so what is the total amount that you have approved? Because I'm going to ask for a motion to approve crack sealing project for a cost not to exceed a certain amount.
Okay, 68. I would say it'd be about 33,000. It should not exceed that.
Okay, that's more than what Anderson proposed.
Or no, hold on, I think I did my math wrong. I don't have a
Okay.
calculator on me. We have 50. Thanks, Kevin. I left my phone over there.
Because if you have
24,000.
24,000?
Yep. Should cover the
If you have-
cemetery.
Yeah, if you have multiple bidders, and you can adjust the bidders to get the lowest cost, then that is your prerogative as the head of that department.
Okay.
So 24,000 is what you're asking for?
Correct.
Okay, and all that is covered in your budget, or?
The various department budgets, the cemetery and the park and the road budget, they all have funds that were designated for it.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion to approve the crack sealing project for 2019 for cost not to exceed $24,000.
So moved.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Gary, any further comments?
None.
Rebecca?
None.
Gary?
Does this mean if, as long as it's before, lower than 24,000 and Joe is able to pick the lowest bidder, it's just gonna go on, we don't have to approve anymore?
Correct.
Okay.
That's why I was asking the total amount that he
That's what
needs.
I figured.
Yep, okay. All those in favor of approving the crack sealing project, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The crack sealing project is approved. Next item is the hiring of a new police officer. Elisha Dwyer has accepted a position in the Twin Cities, and so will be going out for starting a search for a new Breezy Point police officer. We have all of the details that we would be bidding for. The key thing is that we would like to get an officer with a little higher experience level. And so we are asking to authorize the city administrator and personnel committee to hire a police officer at a higher starting wage, subject to passing all the required evaluations. Kevin, do you want to speak to this at all at this point, or?
We have interviews scheduled for tomorrow, in fact,
Okay.
and obviously we'd like to get someone on the road as soon as possible in the summertime, and someone with experience here means less training.
Okay. Okay, so I will entertain a motion to authorize the city administrator and the personnel committee to hire a new police officer at a higher starting wage, subject to passing the required evaluations, and the city council to confirm at their next regularly scheduled council meeting following selection of an acceptable candidate. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
So moved. Second. Further discussion? Gary?
None.
Rebecca?
None.
Gary?
No, not,
All those in favor of hiring the new police officer at a higher starting wage, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We shall move forward on the hiring of a new police officer, and when one is selected, we will have him in front of the city council, have his name in front of the city council for approval. Next item is a request from the Pelican Lake Conservation Club for a feasibility study to install a city sewer to their facility. If you remember, they had problems with sewer backing up and flooding their facility, and to mitigate that situation, they decided to detach from the Breezy Point sewer system and then to install their own holding tank, and that has been completed. And that was basically an interim solution, and they would like to move forward now with an actual engineered hookup, either going to the existing force main or into the gravity system that would be, looked at in the feasibility study. The estimate for the feasibility study is $8,500, and I'll entertain a motion to proceed with the feasibility study to attach PLCC back on the city sewer system.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Either one. Further discussion? Gary?
There was a little bit of turmoil involved in that situation, as I recall, and you took it upon yourself to
Yes.
meet with those, and I think Patrick was there too, and that was all amicable, and they're happy now, is what I'm hoping.
We're moving forward.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Rebecca?
I don't have anything else.
Gary?
not at this time.
Okay. All those in favor of moving forward with the feasibility study, please say aye.
Aye.
Feasibility study is approved. Gotta catch up. Okay, the next item is the release of funds for the Copper Road development over by Weavers Point Road and Lakeview Drive. You have the Copper Road development, and there is a list of, well, we have $60,575 in escrow funds that are being held by the city at this point, and they have several items that need to be completed prior to us releasing that. And what we propose to do is to authorize staff to release those funds once those punch list items have been completed to our acceptance. So I'll entertain a motion to authorize the release of the escrow funds pending acceptable completion of outstanding items.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Gary, anything? Rebecca?
No.
Gary?
No.
The motion on the floor, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We will authorize staff to release the funds once the items have been successfully completed. Next item is the Wetland Conservation Act. We have Resolution 1913. This is authorizing the Crow Wing County Soil, Water, and Conservation District. There will no longer assist the city of Breezy Point in enforcing and implementing the 1991 Wetland Conservation Act, and the resolution will we'll put that to the county, right?
It'll allow us to work with the Wetland Conservation Act, so that someone
Okay.
do work in and around the wetland.
Oh, okay, that's,
We'll probably end up using our engineer in the time until the county comes back online.
okay. So entertain a resolution, or entertain a motion to approve Resolution 1913 regarding the administration of the Minnesota Wetland Conservation Act in the city of Breezy Point.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second. Further item or further discussion? Gary?
Patrick, would you clarify that for me? I'm not so sure I understand. In fact, I don't understand what that means.
So the Wetland Conservation Act of 1991 required the city to say that they would enforce the resolutions, or the statute. And so by passing this resolution, we are saying that we will take that responsibility, which requires a variety of expertise, which we will hire the engineer
Now I
for,
got it. Thank you.
and bill back.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Thanks.
I'm good.
So if we take that responsibility, how do we monitor it?
When a building permit is obtained, typically that's when that type of situation comes around. And Jerry, our
You'll go out and
planner, works with them.
Good.
And when it becomes time and you recognize wet ground, we know where they're typically at through the floodplain map also. That's when we say you need to get it delineated, a wetland delineation process done. And then we are responsible to verify the delineation, and that's where the expertise comes in.
So we enforce it.
Yes, but without this resolution, we technically, our residents wouldn't be able to do any work in the wetland.
All right.
Okay, all those in favor of the resolution, please, Resolution 1913, please say aye.
Aye.
Resolution is approved. Next item is the golf cart ordinance. It's been a long road, and we are finally to the very last step by approving the change to the ordinance, amending 70.043. We can now legally drive golf carts on county roads 4, 11, and 39. And so you see highlighted in red the changes to that ordinance. And we've also added the fact that golf carts are prohibited on Bushman Road. We had the golf carts prohibited by the instructions that we handed out, but it was an oversight that it was not listed in the ordinance. So I will entertain a motion to modify ordinance 70.043 as shown.
So moved.
Please. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Further comments? Gary?
I do have a quick, Kevin, Chief, if you could explain to me the golf course in the road right-of-way, golf cart. They in essence are the same as a car, am I right?
No, they are relegated to the shoulder of the road, the
Okay,
far right.
Which brings me to my point. Last weekend, going down Breezy Point Drive, the north side of it, the circle on the north side, down by the church there were 13 golf carts in a convoy, like a bunch of trucks. And you could not get by them, I could not get by them, and they did not want to move. And to get into the, as you well know, that's a lot of S-curves on that road. So I putted along at 5 or 10 miles an hour until I got to the stop sign, at which time at the beach, they all went left through the resort. I foresee a whole lot more of that going on, and I'm sure they were drinking because they all had cups in their hands and beer in the back. So I'm just making you aware of that, and the administrator. You're going to see a lot more of that, I think. And it's, you know, I understand it, I get it. But they refuse to move, and if you honk the horn, you get a salute. So, I don't know how we're going to control that, but it's going to get worse. And I want it on the record that that is a problem, and it's going to get worse. That's all I have to say, thanks.
The ordinance that we're talking about, the change to the ordinance would not affect that whatsoever. The golf carts are allowed on City Street. Breezy Point Drive is a city street. They've always been allowed there. The only thing this ordinance changes is that it allows them to drive on the right-hand shoulder of county roads 4, 11, and 39. That's all this is doing.
Well, I don't know how we're going to police it, to be honest with you. We have no access to the police. We used to have it here. Used to be able to call a resort. They got in touch with a squad right away. Now you got to go through a cumbersome and archaic system of calling the Crow Wing County Sheriff. You may get through, you may not. And by the time you get a hold of the Crow Wing County Sheriff and notify somebody that there's a problem occurring, those people are long gone. So I just want to go on the record. I'd like to see a better communication system set up between the city, the police department, and somebody who needs to get a hold of them in a quick hurry. That's all I have to say.
In a quick hurry, 911 gets you to there's no cumbersome, that
Been
goes
down the
direct.
road,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, been down that road several times.
If you are calling the non-emergency number, that goes to
Yeah.
a cell phone, and the on-duty patrol officer will be answering
Personally,
that.
I have a problem calling 911. That's an emergency number. That is for an emergency. What I experienced last Saturday on Breezy Point Drive was not an emergency. It was a bunch of whatever.
No, if, the point is, if you see a bunch of people driving golf carts drinking, that's an emergency. They should not be doing that.
Well-
That should have been a 911 call.
All right, I'll do that. 911 is going to be the answer then. And we'll start getting
It's
some
just like,
results
it would be just
on
like if you
problems
saw
just
some,
like that.
it would be
'Cause it's
just
gonna
like
be
if
a
you saw
problem.
somebody driving a car with beer and open bottle in the
Well,
car.
that's what they were doing.
You don't wait, you call the emergency number.
Thank you.
Correct,
Enough,
Chief?
enough talk. 911. Come get the Congo line at Breezy Point. That ought to go over big with the sheriff.
Further comments, Rebecca,
No, I don't have any.
Gary?
So they're subject to DWI just like anybody else, even though they travel on the side.
I
of
don't
the
know.
road.
A golf cart on the roadway would be yes.
Well, they're on the road. They're right down the middle of it. Nobody rides the side.
Now, Minnesota's coming out, apparently the legislature, if you're in the left-hand lane on a 4-lane highway, or on a, and holding up traffic, it's gonna be subject to a violation with $100 and some fine. Is there anything that this golf cart thing would relate to that in any way or not?
Well, the state of the right is on the county roads, not the city street.
Right.
So that doesn't necessarily apply to the city street. They are to yield to motor vehicles, however, so that would be a violation. And it's just common courtesy. Use good common sense, but not everybody uses good common sense. But back to your question, the move to the right law would not apply to that. I haven't seen that yet. That likely applies to state highways, maybe interstates. That'd be a real difficult one to enforce if someone's driving the speed limit.
Well, Gary, you'll just have to make a citizen's arrest.
You can't get away with that anymore. I'm gonna just use 911. They're gonna get sick of that. Real quick.
All those in favor of modifying the ordinance 70-043, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Opposed.
The ordinance passes.
That's the only thing I've ever opposed, I think.
We noticed.
To think of it.
Road committee policy and proposals. Right up here. So you have a new handout 7H1 with the final wording on the road improvement and assessment policy. This has been talked about multiple times. Gary, do you want to talk to this on the from the road committee standpoint?
No, I haven't,
Okay.
we've talked about it, but right now I'm not prepared.
Okay. Well, we'll just start it out. I'll entertain a motion to adopt, whoops, wrong page.
Can I ask,
Yes.
Patrick, was that the thing that Mike was going to address after our meeting?
Yeah, this was on the last city council agenda back in May, and Michael made some additional changes, and I had a handout at that time. That is on page 5 of your handout. That's the very first red highlighted, says deferred payments. We were working on is cleaning up that language so it was easier to understand. And then at the meeting, Councilmember Ball had some more questions, and her modifications are on page 6 of your handout. And so with all the changes included, what's in your handout is exactly what we're asking you to adopt. Simply, it talks about deferment of payments. In summary, if we have an assessment project, what happens is let's say the city council agrees on this following assessment project on a 15 years, 4% interest or something along those lines. Under this new proposal for deferred payments, if an individual owns more than one parcel, then they can defer that second parcel. And we have several property owners in this area that have at least a second parcel. The idea was so that they don't get hit with 2 assessments right away and have to try to figure out how to make those payments. And what it does is it allows the individual to defer payments for up to 5 years, but paying 2.5% interest. And yes, those are the things we talked about at the road committee for several months this spring, looking at this project as the cost of assessments have increased. Now we're over $10,000 up to looking at $14,000. In the past, we had been anywhere between $5,000 to $8,000, which is a little bit more affordable. And so we were looking at ways to make it reasonable. We called around, WSN helped us. The city of Baxter has a similar policy. State law allows you to do whatever you want within reasons up to 30 years worth of assessments. But what we put together through the committee was this plan that's before the council tonight.
Okay. With that explanation, and I know it's relatively short notice, but this has been talked about in the road committee several times, as well as it's been before us. Gary, do you have any questions?
No, I don't want.
Okay, Rebecca.
No, thank you for the additional
Yep.
context there.
Gary, further questions?
Yeah, so the final change, I mean, I thought we had already agreed on everything. What exactly, the final changes are the ones that are in red here?
Yes. In multiple colors, I guess.
All right.
Yes. So what, the handout, that will be the final wording.
Okay.
Okay? Although, I'll entertain a motion to approve the final changes to the Breezy Point Road Improvement and Assessment Policy.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Anything else, Gary?
Good policy. No,
Yeah.
that's it.
Rebecca?
No.
Great.
No.
All those in favor of the road improvement, the new road improvement policy, please say aye.
Aye.
The changes are approved. Next item is the assessment deferment, minimum maintenance road scheduling. This is really more just for information, Joe. Are we asking for anything on this?
This was primarily just a way to make a long-term plan. It's
Okay.
more or less your first step. It gives us some perspective how to proceed if we want to make a long-term plan for minimum maintenance roads. It prioritizes by 3 different criteria, and it's laying the groundwork to get some kind of timetable for things.
Okay. Yeah, so this is primarily for information. This will eventually get boiled down and become part of the comprehensive plan for our long-term plans on roads. So there's really nothing to act on here. It's primarily, as I say, for information. Next item is it's item 7I. It is the bid tabulation for the 2000 Ford F-150 XLT Super Crew. That pickup truck had been forfeited by a DWI, and we sent it out for bids. We have the bids, as you see here. The high bid was $3,000, and the second high bid was $2,850. The 3,000 bidder was Brennan McAlpin for $3,000, and the second highest bidder was John Siebold for $2,850. I will entertain a motion to accept the bid from Brennan McAlpin for $3,000, and in case he cannot make that, or if he does not want to buy it, or he passes on the bid, then to award the bid to John Siebold for $2,850. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? Gary?
No, sir.
Rebecca?
No.
Gary? All those in favor of issuing the winning bid to Brendan McAlpin, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that completes the primary agenda meeting. And we now will have, going into closed session to discuss union negotiations. And so we'll take a 5-minute break and go into closed session. Following the, just for your own edification, following the closed session, I will open up the public meeting again just to adjourn. So if you want to hang on and come back in and
Probably
say,
not, huh?
I'm adjourning, then you can come back. But